And welcome to the Steve Malzberg Show. I'm Bill Tucker, filling in for Steve, who is off today. Earlier today, right here in New York City, Donald Trump spoke before a crowd at the Waldorf Astoria Hotel. There he laid out his economic plans. Let's take a listen.
Today I do want to outline a plan for American economic revival. And it's a bold and ambitious and forward-looking plan to massively increase jobs, wages, income, and opportunities for the people of our country. My plan will embrace the truth that people flourish under a minimum government burden and will tap into the incredible unrealized potential of our workers and their dreams. My economic plan rejects the cynicism that says our labor force will keep declining, that our jobs will keep leaving, and that our economy can never grow as it did once before. Everything that is broken today can be fixed, and every failure can be turned into a truly great success. All of these things and so much more are possible, but to accomplish them, we must replace the present policy of globalism, which have just taken so many jobs out of our communities and so much wealth out of our country, and replace it with a new policy of Americanism. My opponent's plan rejects this optimism. She offers only more taxing, more regulating, more spending, and more wealth redistribution. In Hillary Clinton's America, we have surrendered our status as the world's great economy, and we have surrendered our middle class to the whims of foreign countries. Not one single idea she's got will create one net American job or create one new dollar of American wealth for our workers. The only thing she can offer is a welfare check. Over the last 7 years, the economy grew only 2.1%, the slowest period in 70 years. Had the economy grown under Obama at the same rate as Reagan, it would have meant 10 million more jobs. On top of it all, the Obama-Clinton policies have doubled the national debt. It took more than 230 years for the United States to accumulate its first $10 trillion in debt. It took President Obama less than 8 years to add another $10 trillion. Our tax plan will greatly simplify the code and reduce the number of brackets from 7 to 3. The new brackets will be 12, 25, and 33%. By lowering rates, streamlining deductions, and simplifying the process, we will add millions and millions of new jobs. In addition, because we have strongly capped deductions for the wealthy and closed special interest loopholes, the tax relief will be concentrated on the working and middle-class taxpayer. They will receive the biggest benefit, and it won't even be close. They have been forgotten. We are not going to forget them. Over the next 10 years, our economic team estimates that under our plan, the economy will average 3.5% growth and create a total of 25 million new jobs. And yes, we will build the wall will be built. And just in case you're worried about who's going to pay for it, Mexico will pay for it. Jobs will return, incomes will rise, new factories will come rushing back to our shores. We will make America wealthy again. We will make America strong again. And we will make America great again.
All right, joining me now, Stephen Moore, Trump's senior economic advisor, Newsmax finance insider, co-founder of the Committee to Unleash Prosperity, and a senior fellow with the Heritage Foundation. Steve, good to see you. Thanks. Good. You were at the Trump event today.
I was in the Waldorf Astoria today in New York. And
what did he have to say? We just saw a montage.
Yeah.
But what were your impressions? Give us your thoughts on what he had to say.
Well, you know, he outlined a very pro-growth list of solutions to this rut we've been in as an economy now for 8 years. You know, the Census Bureau earlier this week showed that even though incomes grew this year, that the average American makes less than they did 10 years ago.
Exactly.
I mean, that's dreadful. That's a miserable performance, and that goes back to the Bush years. So it's the last term of Bush and the first 2 terms of Obama have been just really terrible for family finances. And you know, you mentioned that we've been growing 2% for the last 7 years, but the last year it's been 1.2%. That's really pathetic. So what Donald Trump said is, look, we've got to recharge the batteries of this economy. We've got to do it through tax cuts, cutting back regulations. Right. He talked a little bit about it, rolling back Obamacare, and sound money. And those are sort of the major principles for getting an economy moving.
Well, first of all, it's really exciting to have a presidential candidate actually come out and lay out a series of plans. I realize it's politically risky.
Contrast that with Hillary.
That's where I was going.
What is her economic plan? I mean, she truly doesn't have one. I mean, she throws out some ideas like free college for people.
Right.
You know where she's going, by the way, on Bill, with health care. You know, there's no question about it. If she is elected president, she's going to take this Titanic that we call Obamacare, right, and she's going to get rid of the insurance companies, and she's going to have it all run by the government. It's going to be a single-payer system. So Trump is going in the opposite direction. He says more competition in health care. You know, a lot of markets, I know this isn't about health care, but, you know, a lot of markets now only have one insurance companies. Yeah, no. You know, that's not a lot of competition, right?
Last I checked, I was called a monopoly.
You can buy the car any color you want as long as it's black. But the heart of the plan is the business tax cut. So we're going to cut taxes for American businesses. Start with the corporations. You know, you know, we've talked a lot about this. We have the highest corporate tax rate in the world. That doesn't work anymore. I think everybody in the country except Barack Obama and Hillary Clinton understand that. So he would cut our rate from one of the highest in the world to the lowest. Not the lowest, but one of the lowest.
One of the lowest.
You do that, that's going to be a magnet. A lot of those companies that have been leaving, I guarantee you they're coming back.
The timing of this conversation is actually really interesting because following in the footsteps of Ireland, which demanded 14 billion euros in payment from Apple, the United States today is
it wasn't Ireland, by the way. It was the European Union.
Excuse me, you're right. Thank you, Steve.
Which is basically extorting money out of American company. Yeah.
So now the United States has gone, wait. I think we'll do that too. Yeah. They started to make their own move as well.
Well, we're going to say, look, you know, why don't we have a tax system that brings companies to the United States rather than repels them? I mean, this seems obvious. Reagan did it in the 80s when we had a big boom, and Trump is going to do this. Now, he had one of my favorite lines in the speech, Bill, was when he talked a little bit about all the problems in Michigan now, you know, and everyone knows about the problem with the drinking water in Flint, and he had a great line because this week Ford announced that it's going to start building some of its smaller cars in Mexico. He said, what's happening in America, it used to be that, you know, we built cars in Michigan and you couldn't drink the water in Mexico, and now he said you can't. The cars are being built in Mexico and you can't drink the water in Michigan. I just thought that was a great line.
It is a great line. It's a horrible situation, but it's a really great line. Well, settle something for me. I've seen David Malpass, who's with the Trump campaign, talking about promising growth 3.5%.
Yep.
Right before I came in to talk with you, I saw another thing saying, no, Trump's promising 4%. Look, I'll take either one. We could split the difference and do 375, and I'm okay. But where are we in terms of what it is that Trump is looking at in terms of growth?
So, you know, I've been looking at these numbers. I think we can get to 4% pretty easily. There's a lot of low-hanging fruit out there. You build the Keystone Pipeline, you do the pro-American energy stuff, you start drilling, you do the tax cut. I believe the numbers are there to get to 4% or more. And by the way, Trump had a great line today. He said, you know, we're going to have we're assuming 3.5% growth because we want to be conservative. We don't want people to say it's, you know, pie in the sky. And he said, but you know what? I think my economists were wrong. I think we get 5 or 6%. And I said, you go, you know, Donald, because look, you know, under JFK, my friend Larry Kudlow has a great book about JFK.
Very good book.
You know, we had 6% growth years. Under Reagan, we had quarters, we had 8% growth. Who in the world made up this rule that the economy can't grow? I mean, Larry Summers, Obama's economist, has been running around saying 2% is the best we can do. That's nonsense. We can go up 4, 5, 6% with the right growth.
Well, the 2% under the Obama administration, that is great. We heard him earlier this week say, this is fabulous. We're doing good in this economy, which has been absolutely insane. how do you do the regulatory rollback? That, for me, I hate process questions.
It's
but
not
that's
that hard.
How do you do it?
Okay, so you can do a lot of this through executive orders, basically rescinding Obama executive orders. So a lot of what we've been complaining as conservatives about this for years, that Obama just, okay, we're going to regulate this, regulate that, regulate without even going through Congress. And look, if you live by the executive order, you die by the executive order. The next president can come in. Now, look, Ronald Reagan, who I worked for in 1987 and 88, one of his first acts, the first hour he was in the Oval Office in January of 1981, he signed a law, executive order, rescinding all oil and gas price controls. Remember that?
Yeah.
And it led to one of the biggest booms in energy we've had in this country. So Trump can do those kinds of things. He mentioned something called the Clean Power Plant Bill, which has put tens of thousands of our coal miners out of business. He said we're getting rid of that, and he can do that with a stroke of the pen.
Well, it's fascinating too, because look, I will entertain green energy conversations all day long, and I like the concept, but the reality that a lot of Americans need to be reminded of is that the two main sources of electrical generation in this country, natural gas and coal.
Yeah, I have a book on this bill. It's called Fueling Freedom: Exposing the Mad War on Energy. And one of the themes of the book is this country was built on coal. Since when did coal become some kind of a sinister thing? Right. And coal is cleaner now. You look at the emissions from coal plants; they are down 50, 60, 70%. But that's still not enough for the environmentalists.
No, well, Obama did promise he would raise our electrical rates. He stayed true with that.
You see, the other day he took credit for the low gasoline prices. Did you see that?
Which is a joke.
Right, so,
I don't even think his own supporters believe it. That I
think people laugh when they know what he's up to. The problem is Hillary. This is something people should be aware of. Hillary will do to the oil and gas industry what Obama has done to the coal industry.
And in turn, it will do to Americans' paychecks and household expenses what we've been seeing, which is a rise in rates that cost Americans more money, not lower the rates and cost us less money.
You got it. It's a dangerous thing, and it will disrupt our energy supply. That's the biggest danger of all. And what happens when the lights go out?
Remember that. What happens when the lights go out?
And little kids out there, you think green energy is so great. No. What happens when you can't power up you can't play, Pokemon Go, and you can't power up your iPhone and stuff? You're not going to be so happy.
I've been saying that for years in my Forbes.com columns. Where are you going to go from there? Thanks, Stephen. Appreciate it so much. When we return, Ari Fleischer, former White House spokesman for President George W. Bush, joins us. Don't go away.